Good morning. So I have our PDF binder up and ready to go. I see that our first student's here, Grace. Yeah, we'll go through yours first. Just a reminder that everybody will get about 14 minutes. So I'll try to pick the major questions that we did not talk a lot about in Tuesday's class. Just so you know that there is a recording of Tuesday's breakout room, at least from my breakout room on Canvas, in case you need to go back and review either your own reviews or others. And also today's session is also recorded. Okay, so I'll start the timer. Concerned that FFEs are too high, confused how bottom FFE. So yes, bottom FFE can decrease so much because you are going to use a wall, right? You're going to use a retaining wall. I'm going to show here for everybody how the retaining wall works. I'll just use your numbers here, okay? Because some of them, yes, they are a little too high and needs adjustment, but let's just use that as a starting point. So in terms of the use of the retaining walls, you have a BFFE 65.45 here, which means the elevation of this line is 65.45, and your next contour below is 65, right? So for all of our backyards, you need to maintain at least a 2% slope. So the 65 contour would be about 22.5 feet away. Okay, so if we measure that distance, we will have 65 somewhere here. So that's your 65 contour there. And our original contour of 65 is this one. Right? So that basically means we need to move that one up. Now, of course, we don't have to use a retaining wall to move that one up, but if we want to use that wall, if we don't want to move the whole length of the 65 contour, what we do is we add a retaining wall here, okay? And then we could simply only modify the last little bit of the 65 contour just so that water flows away from the retaining wall. They don't drain onto the wall. Only modify where it attaches the wall. Now, all the other contours would just attach the wall like this, right? So that is how you get through all these elevation changes, the 9-foot elevation change with a wall. Now, is this the only way to do this? Not exactly, but this is one way to do this retaining wall. What about if I want to drag 65 all the way up? That's totally okay too, if you have enough space. If you have enough space here to attach all the other contours, you can certainly do that. That is as if you don't have enough space to attach all the contours above, then you need to start with the 65 contour. So the other option would be to say, I don't want to have a wall that long. Then my 65 would simply be like this and then attach back to my 65 original. Then I need to have my wall like this because 65, 66 definitely need to be attached that way, right? Because the whole area here is low. So my 66 cannot hit this space without a wall.
I have a
So,
question.
yeah,
Oh, sorry. So the retaining wall, would it be on just those two buildings right there then? Or would there
it
be a
depends.
retaining wall
Depends
behind the
on
other?
how you define that. It depends on how you define all your BFFEs and how the elevation of that BFFE relates to your graded elevation later. So it will be a case by case.
Okay.
Yeah, you need to evaluate every pair of the buildings to see if you need a retaining wall for that one as well.
Okay.
But this is
Okay, sounds
sort of
good.
one typical example where you definitely need one. Okay, so for this one, you would need to attach 66 to the wall for sure because the entire patio is less than 66. Okay, without a wall, you wouldn't be able to attach that. Okay,
Okay.
So this is only if we're putting a patio on that unit.
yeah,
Okay, got it.
yeah,
Thank you.
yeah. Okay, so that's how you work with the wall and the 9-foot difference. Okay, let me zoom back out. So, concern about your HPS. For your parking lot, there's really no HPS there because your parking lot has a crown. It doesn't have a swale. So this is essentially just an HP. Okay, this is not an HPS, it is basically just an HP. Okay, your parking lot contours. And for this parking lot part, I would recommend you go back to Tuesday's recording for the breakout room is the last item on the last module, the module of weeks 12 to 16. So basically your contour pattern for a parking lot will look like that. And that is your high point, and your slope, it goes like this as you have calculated already. Next question is, can both of the buildings with ramps be on the left? Definitely, and that's totally optional, up to you. Yes, feel free to move the painting. Basically, this is painting on the parking lot to indicate where the ADA parking spot is. So feel free to move it wherever you want it to be. The elevation of the porches, yes, it's the same as FFE, at least for the ADA accessible unit. It can be the same for all the other units. That's optional, but for the ADA one, there's definitely not going to be any steps in front of your building. We still have time, so I am going to help you review one set of the FFEs to see if we have done that correctly. So no, the thing is that this cannot exceed, if this is this ramp of 6.2%. If it's a walkway, then it cannot exceed 5%. If it's a not sure. So this seems like your intention was to design the whole thing as a ramp, which is okay, but you have to remove the curb there so that we know it's a ramp. If the TR and BR is 71.50, okay, so this is your ADA spot. Let's see. Because this ramp is short, so it doesn't need a landing. So a ramp design like that is okay. 62.5, 5432. Yeah, seems like it's going to work. Okay, so how do we check if your bottom FFE can work? So this one is 61 and it cannot be moved, right? And our goal is to maintain the whole slope above 2%. So it needs to be above 2%. So basically this means about 50 feet away, it would be 62, and about 25 feet away, it would be about 62.5. So as long as the distance here does not exceed 75, then this option would work. Okay, so so for that one, your TFFE and BFFE could work, but you will know, we explain how to use the retaining wall. The wall would need to be extended pretty long for your 62 to be attached up here. Does that kind of make sense?
Yes, that makes
Yeah,
sense. Thank you.
cool. Yeah. So that's that set. And I see that you're, so I think for next step for you would be to work on the parking lot contours, figure out the V-shaped, the angles and how they, where they hit the curves. And wherever you have steps, you need to indicate that and calculate the walkway slope. And actually for everyone, I would recommend having a sidewalk that connects all the way, because only one walkway to each unit. Actually, no, it's definitely you'll have people that will need, okay, you'll need to, for instance, if I'm a visitor and I can't see the unit number on the door, and I walk here and I found, oh, this is not the one that I want. No, I don't have to go back to the parking lot and then find the next unit, right? So for everyone, I would recommend to have a connection between all the units, okay? So calculating the parking lot contours, calculating the walkway slopes, figuring out how many steps you would need to make sure you have the sufficient number of ADA accessible units as well as the walkouts. So that's your first step. Next step, you would need to work on every other contour except for the parking lot ones. Okay, so I would suggest that you stay the entire class session, review other people's kind of review critique, so to get a sense of what the contours of beyond the parking lot would look like. Okay, let me try to go back to your list of questions. Yeah, anything else that you want to discuss here, Grace?
I think that's fine for now. Like you said, I just
Yeah.
think I'm gonna listen to the other ones and look at the contours, but that was really helpful. I mostly was just concerned about those
Yeah.
FFEs and how they worked. So that cleared that up for me. So thank you.
Awesome, cool. Alrighty, we'll move forward then.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Next one. Yeah, I have my list on the other screen. So I need to pull it up. So I have Dana as.
Yes.
Yes, cool.
I'm here.
Hi. So
I know my
we
questions
have
are pretty generic.
FF is okay. Draw the proposed contour as versus. So you have a 2%. Oh, okay. So you have a 2% slope for both of your center line and your side slope, which
Yes.
means I think this line is correct.
Okay.
That one is correct. Oh, different color, please. That looks like it's correct, because when you have the same centerline slope and the side slope, you would have a 45-degree contour there.
Okay.
So the bottom one does not look correct, because that's definitely less than 45. So be sure to check that. You should be able to mirror the other line if the other one is correct. Now mirror that one to get the next one. There are multiple ways.
So I'm basically mirroring what I did on
Yes.
one side to the other side.
So
Okay.
first you need to check whether that's 45 degrees.
Okay.
If that's it, if that is 45 degrees, then you can mirror it.
Okay.
Okay. So I know you want to check the FFEs. So let's take a look there.
Because I was looking at other people's FFEs, and I'm not sure whether my numbers are too high or if I'm even doing it correctly.
Yeah, some of them are too high. I can.
Okay.
Yeah, because there is a limit of how many steps you can put in front of an apartment building, right? And
Yeah.
there's a limit for the slope for the walkway. The walkway will be below 5% if it's not a ramp. And the steps, no, the general thumb, the rule of thumb is not to put about 4 steps right in front of your porch for a residential building. But you can break it down to 2 or 3 steps a group, a flight, I would say, so that it doesn't seem a really steep entrance for the residential building.
Okay.
Yeah, on the other hand, in many of these cases, you don't have to raise the FFE that high, right?
Okay.
So for instance, if we just take the number here, assume that this is the correct, yeah, this seems like it's correct. The 45 degrees seems to be correct there. So I would say the top of the curve here is about, so 71. Is this 70? Yeah, 70 and 69. Or is that not, is that off? Let's see. I think you're probably missing 76. Yeah. I am not quite sure if those are the contours because it kind of conflict with your spots there.
Okay.
So this is 71. That's 67.75. That may be 8. Yeah, this may be 8. That may be 69. Still not correct. I think I may need to eyeball it. Nope. So if I were to just estimate, still a little off, I think.
Okay.
That. So
Would I need another contour line there then?
the 71, no, you don't. Yeah, that's fine. No. If it's only one spot, that's 71. You don't need a contour there.
Okay.
This is not accurate, but I was only trying to estimate where things are. So
Okay.
so if this is 70, that's 69, that's 68. You have 67.75 there. I know I'm still a little off somewhere. But try to recalculate the center line there.
Okay.
So if that is the 68, and this might be about 68.2. Okay, so if the BC here is about 68.2, and TC is 68.7, then what we do is we try to use 5% slope. And I remember this being about 17 feet away. So let's use 15 as an estimate. Basically, we go up by so the TFFE, if without any steps, would only be 69 point something, which is not enough. But you can kind of see if without any steps, I can get to about 69.5 there.
Okay.
Right? So that is 8 feet difference. You will need 16 steps, which is not
Too many
necessary.
Okay.
Yeah, not necessary. But would 69.5 work? Not really, because we have trees there. So that 69.5 doesn't work either, meaning definitely we will need steps. Okay. But
Okay.
how low can we get there? So I want to keep some of the notes on the side. So we have it for reference, but I'll erase some of them here. What we want to try to keep is this, right? And that is 63. So I need to keep 63, but I can move 64, right?
Okay.
I want to keep 2% in this back area. Then what I do is I need to measure about this distance to my building, right? And then use the 2% slope to estimate if I keep the 63 right where it is, what this is. Okay. So
Okay.
for instance, if this is about 75 foot, then I am going up 1.5 feet. So this would be 64.5. For instance, okay, if this distance is about 75 feet, then I can get up to 64.5, and that is the lowest that I should get. Otherwise, I'll have to move 63.
Okay.
Right. So for the front, I would want to aim for that. And if this is the distance, if the difference from without any steps, that's about 4 feet. So you would need about 8 steps there. That's a lot of steps. That's a lot of steps. So no, the one thing is to calculate, measure the specific distance here,
Okay.
and try to get this number as high as possible. Okay. And the next one is if you do need to put in 6 steps or more, break it down to multiple flights. And then it may not seem as steep. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's for this pair. I'll quickly go through a few others. So the same thing with pick one of them between these two pairs. Pick one of them to be ADA accessible without any steps, which means you would calculate the TC here, right? You would calculate the TC here or there. Okay, measure the distance there and use a 5% slope to calculate what the TFFE is. Likely either one of these pairs would work without any steps. Okay, but you can calculate both to find out which one is easier. And how do we evaluate that? For this unit, I'm trying to get to, so this is 64. So I'm trying to get this elevation at about 65. Okay, and for that one, this is 64 and that's 65. So I'm actually trying to get to, that's 63 point something, or 64 would work. meaning this can be lower, that one can be lower than that one.
Okay.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
this is easier than this one. Okay, the left one is easier to make it ADA. So maybe you pick this one. Okay, I'm confident both will work, but you only need to make one of them work.
Okay, that sounds good.
Okay, let me try to clear this one and move to the left. The left one, again, it's a little, it's too high, but you can see your goal is to try to get the bottom to around 64, because that's your 63. If you can get it around 64, then you don't have to move many of the contours. And so the front would be, you're aiming for 73, then you calculate that TC here, do a 5% slope, and then figure out how many steps you would need.
Okay,
Okay?
that sounds good.
Okay, and let's zoom out to the questions. I think once we figure out the FFEs, one key thing to remember is that the contours keep going. Okay,
Okay.
I'm only drawing conceptually because I don't know whether, I'm not sure if you would have a 67 there. You may not, depend on it. That depends on your slope. Okay,
Okay.
you may not have a 67 beyond this, but remember, they don't just stop here. They keep going. And then the DIs would be, that we would have two DIs there. The importance of those contours is that those determine where the contours should be connected at the curve, right? So, for instance, if this one is 70, your 70 would come out here and do something like that, right? So those determine how you work on how you connect other contours beyond just those in your parking lot. So next step, you will need to figure out these connection points for your other contours and start working on, I would recommend working on the front of the building first. And
Okay.
then the side, and then the side, and then in this area. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So Dana, I think you can set up a goal. Maybe you skip one of the reviews. Set up a goal. Revise the TFFE and BFFE, and if by the end of the class, if you can try to sketch out some of the contours, that would be really helpful.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
Alrighty, we'll keep moving forward then. Next, I have, remind me who I.
This is mine.
Okay, hi. Sophia.
Hi.
Oh, pretty good on time then. So the slope of the parking lot, you determine them, right? Because you are given two spots. You're given two spots here and there. And you determine how, at what slope you want to get up and then go down. The slope goes that way because we're taking advantage of the original topography where you have the highest in the center. So you could predefine that as a 2% and then use this and this one to calculate the next one.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So I think my like biggest concern right now is like I'm struggling with the FFE of the buildings. So I didn't realize that like each building should be like the same. I was doing like each unit was different, so I have to fix that. But are we determining the FFE based off the existing contours and where it should be, or are we going from like the parking lot and like working down?
Yeah, you need to go from the parking lot.
Okay, so then I
Yeah.
need to fix mine because I think I'm also like, so there's supposed to be a 9 feet drop between the top FFE and the bottom FFE.
Yes.
Okay, because I
Yeah.
was like worried that it was just like
Right.
a very big
So
difference.
so once you have your centerline slope, you need to go this direction. Make sure you hit all the previous class recordings. Okay, so because they have the most detailed information. Basically, if you have your walkway right there, you will need to find out where the BC and TC that spot is.
Okay.
Right? Yeah,
Mhm.
so that would be determined by the center line spot and going down to a percent slope there. Okay, then you use the TC. You use the TC of that spot to calculate, okay, maximum 5% slope. How high can I get to this? So that is the elevation without any steps. Without any steps, how high can we get?
Okay.
Right? And then use that to evaluate whether or not I can have a 9 feet drop without killing any trees.
Okay.
Okay, so those FFEs are determined all together by your sidewalk and by your yard.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we kind of went through why we are aiming for the bottom FFE above 64.5 for the last pair, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just now we talked about why this we're aiming for it to be as high as possible, above 64.5. Higher, the higher the better, because otherwise you'll end up with many steps in the front.
Okay.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So those are the first things that you need to work on. I think it's best that you stay through today's reviews so you get a sense of the working flow, the workflow.
Yeah.
Well, work from where
Also,
to.
for the parking lot, would I start all the way like on the left-hand side and then like work up from that from point A and then work around the whole parking lot?
Do you mean the spots?
Yeah.
Try not to start spots until you have a draft of the contours, because unless you have your contours finalized, otherwise you might need to calculate the spots multiple times, and it's not a good use of the time. So work on the contour draft and then calculate all the tangent points, the spots on your parking lot.
Okay, so once
Yeah.
I'm done with the contour, is that where I would start though for the spots for the parking lot? All the way on the left, like by point A.
So your workflow would be first determine the centerline slope, working from A to the right. Do not start with B, because this side will need to be steeper.
Okay.
That's shorter. That's a shorter distance.
Mm-hmm.
So start from A, specify a centerline slope, and calculate that slope, and then work on the parking lot's contours. Now work on what these contours look like.
Okay.
Okay, and then work on those spots using your contours that you just draw.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then calculate these walkways in corresponding to the yard elevations to check every set of the BFFE and TFFE's work,
Okay.
and mark your walkway slope, and mark how many steps you need for each set, so that you know, okay, I do have 2 units that have ADA access, I do have walkouts. And
Okay.
then go back to the contours. Go back to the contours. Where do they come out of the curve? Okay, and then start working on the other contours. How do they connect? Do I need a swell here or there?
Okay.
Okay, and then you go back to, I think, it's a good idea to work on spots for your retaining wall fall first.
Mm-hmm.
And then the last thing you do is to calculate the curb spots. Every tangent point, you would need a spot, and that can wait until you finalize your contours.
Okay.
And it's independent. It's kind of independent to other things. It's only related to your parking lot contour. So whenever you feel really tired but you have some time, you can work on that, because it's kind of the same process, very repetitive process.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All right. Perfect. Thank
Yeah,
you
this
so
kind
much.
of applies to everybody. All right. Sounds good. And we'll move forward then. Next we have Prahalad. You here?
Hello.
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing all right.
Doing all right.
Uh,
Good to hear.
Had some
So-
serious concerns about my my main swale.
Your main swell, meaning the one in front of your building?
Correct. It's atrocious, and it's also very
Yes.
wrong.
Um,
But I was just confused on how to do it, so I thought I'd just talk
Right.
through it with you.
yeah, yeah.
And it was that, and then the other one I was really befuddled about was the wall that we talked about during
Okay.
the last review.
Okay. Seems like your TFFEs and VFFEs are mostly going to work. I'm a little confused on which one is ADA accessible. They seem
Okay, so I
both
should have labeled it.
pretty high. Yeah.
The one that is ADA accessible is supposed to be the one on the far left, but does that mean that the bottom floor FFE needs to be like the same as the top floor FFE or something like that?
No, I'm a little concerned that this is a little too high. You might not be able to do ADA accessibility there for the far left one.
In terms of the percent grade?
In
Like,
terms, no. So if I do a quick estimation, this is about 70.25 or something. Yeah. So okay. Now the BC here would be 70.25. So the TC here would be 70.75. And this is about 15 feet, or no, we use 15, then 5%, you get 1.25. So the highest that you can get here would be 72. Yeah, would be 72. So I think you still need one step there. And you can do the calculation again, but I think it is safe to say that this is a little too high here.
okay.
And if is 72, you have to get 63, which still can work, but can we, no, 61 here, sorry, I'm just trying to go 61, 62, you have 63.33, 83, so that still might work. Measure.
When you say might work, what would be the problem with it? Is it because I'd have to change the landform there, or is it because of something else?
So you have to maintain 61 here, right?
Yes.
And we calculated, and it seems that the front without any steps is about 72. So the bottom is 63 there. In order to not move 61, if this is 100 feet, then we're not moving 61. But if this is larger than 100 foot, then you have a slope that's less than 2%, then that's an issue. Let me quickly measure, or somebody can help me as I bring it up. Quickly measure if that's actually larger than 100 feet. So distance from this one to the unit here, it's 70. So okay, if it's 70 feet, then you would be able to have a bottom FE at 63. So you can still make this work, but you'll end up with a long wall. That kind of make sense?
With a long retaining wall
Yes.
on the side of it. Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, in order to make this ADA accessible, you need to do some fine calculation about the front walkway, make it at maximum 5% slope, and then get a sense of how your TFFE turns out. Okay, so let me go through that once again. You need to calculate this, the TC here, calculate that at 5% slope. Then you would know my top FFE, the exact number or more precise number. My suspicion is that it will be below this, but not too much. I think it will be around 72. So your bottom would be around 63. Now, if the bottom is about 63, what you need to do is that you need to measure. So we need to keep 61 in place, right? Then we measure 50 feet here. That is our 62 modified. That's our 62. 50 feet here. That's our 62 contour.
And this is at a 2% grade, or
yeah,
sorry,
2%.
Okay.
Yes, 2%, because this area needs to drain. All right. So then that means your this whole area would be slightly above 62, right?
Right.
Yeah, 62.
I'm sorry, this might sound like a dumb question, but why would I need to regrade the landform there?
Because otherwise you're keeping 61. The 62 cannot be here. Let's measure. I'm sorry.
Like I understand that I need to maintain the 61 contour.
50 feet. Okay. So I'm measuring. Okay. That's 50 feet. Sorry. I take it back. I need to wake up also this morning. Not this way. The other way around. You need to measure 50 feet from actually your building.
Right. Yeah, that's what I
Yes.
was thinking. That's
Yeah.
what I was. Yeah.
Thank you for pointing that out. You need to measure 50 feet from here, and that's your 62, not the other way.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
No, that makes sense.
Yeah. So that's your 62, and then you need the wall to be something like that, and you need to modify how it attaches the wall like this. I'm exaggerating a little.
Right.
And then the 63 would attach like that. Depend on how the above contours go.
Right. And just to clarify one other thing, it says in the rubric that you cannot have I guess the distance between swales less than, I think it was 20%, or was it 2% or something like that? So when it says so when it says less than, does that mean you cannot have more than 5 feet of difference, or is that
Yes.
less than 5 feet of difference?
We cannot have less than 5 foot. So the spacing has to be at least 5 foot for each contours. The contour spacing.
But it could be more. It could be more vast than that. But
Yes,
it cannot be like 3 feet away from each other.
exactly.
Okay, that's what I wanted to clarify because I always struggle with the language on those.
Cool. Alrighty. I think we went kind of covered the FFE issues, and
Yeah,
then
but you're saying the rest of them look pretty all right for the
the
building.
rest of them look like they should work.
All right.
But for instance, can they be adjusted? Yes, they can.
Definitely. Yeah.
For instance, no, you're at a 65.30 there, and you're at a 64.7. The 63 is here. Can I lower this down so that I can directly keep 63 here? And this is 63 point something. That's probably better because then I need fewer steps there. I keep 63 here. So if I keep that at 63.34, depending on the distance, right? Then I would need fewer steps in front.
Oh, so when we're trying to figure out the FFE, can we also work from the back then instead of just working like using the workflow that you guys said where we had to start in the parking lot, then grade to the front? Instead of doing that, could we just work from like the back and base it off of where the swales are already, sorry, not the swales, where the slopes are already existing?
Well, it's a back and forth process. So you can see that your current would work, but it requires more feel, right?
Right, yeah.
Yes, yeah. So you actually work from both sides. You can work from both sides to determine what's the best option there.
Got it.
Yeah. This one, it's the same thing. Oh, this one actually worked better. But I'm not sure how you had a huge drop from your bottom FFE to your patio. There's a 1.2 feet drop.
Oh, did I accidentally do 1.2? Sorry, I meant to just do 0.5.
Yeah, if you did tiny little bit, then yeah. So that was an error, I think.
Yeah, it was just I probably just screwed up on that.
Yeah, so you can lower this down.
Oh, so
And
I want to
actually-
bring everything in line with the patio is what we want to do in that situation?
So if you have a 64.7 here, right, you can have your bottom FFE at 64.9 as you
Right.
had. No, actually 8 would be better. No, just a little bit of a difference to your patio. So top would be 73.8 or something, or even the same would be fine. No, your bottom FFE the same as 64.70, totally fine. So then you use that one to back calculate this, right? I'm a little skeptical with this. It seems that you added 1.6 to your TC. Yeah, that's a, I think there's an error here as well, because no, you wouldn't get so
Yeah,
much.
instead of adding
Yeah.
0.6, I must have screwed up there. Okay, I gotta go back and
Yeah, you actually add 0.5. It's 6 inches, but it's half foot.
right. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So check one more time for all these numbers. I think you get you know the process. It's just a matter of verifying, double checking your previous calculations were correct. Okay. Yeah, let's try to hit the swell issue. And you don't. Last class session, I kind of explained to the class in my group. There are 3 options for grading your building. The first option is the easiest option. I'm drawing conceptually, okay? Drawing conceptually, I know that these contours kind of, connect from where midway, okay, along the curb. So for instance, the 70 would go like this. And the first option is for all the water from the building to drain to the parking lot.
Right, and okay. Yeah.
So your wall would be there actually, connecting the, otherwise it's hard to drain that corner, okay? So this is the first option. You have a wall with a high area in the middle, and likely seems like you would have a small contour here as well.
Yes,
depending.
correct. I'd have to have
Yeah.
a 74 contour there.
Right. And then
Yeah.
everything else drains like that, which means there's no swale.
So there is no swale on the front side.
For this option, there's no.
So I would just
Because,
be able to
yeah.
like not freehand per se, but I'd be able to just input the contours. I just want them to be parallel in the front, basically, or something like that. I don't know.
So the first thing you would do is to put the contours conceptually like this. But then once you have your walkway, you need to adjust them. You need to make sure my contour does not conflict with my walkway spots. Check the relationship between your contour and the walkway spots, because your walkway is at a different slope with the conceptual one that I just drew in.
Right.
The conceptual contour, I basically roughed it in with, for instance, a 2% slope like that. But my walkway, I was specifically designed for it to be 5% or 2% or no. So which means it's not uniform. Your walkway is likely not going, it's not uniform with the lawn area around it. So you would need to adjust it. For instance, I see some of the submissions have, no, for instance, no, this is easier to just demo. Have a, like that. Because I designed, if I designed my walkway to actually have a pretty small side slope, then this portion of the contour would not would not go across the entire walkway as if it would go across the rest of the lawn area. I know this is a little hard to understand, but because you designed your walkway like this, it's not going to be straight and simplified like that. You have to make sure my spots are agreeing with my contour on the walkway. Does that kind of make
Right,
sense?
because there will be some tilt that occurs if
Yes,
yeah.
exactly.
I know, I
Yeah.
understand that. Any
Yeah,
chance I could
yeah,
just
yeah.
build a bridge?
You could.
I'm just kidding.
That's what I'm trying to get through.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, as the next step. So the first option is to have simply all your water of your apartments, in front of apartments, to drain to your parking lot. The second option is similar, but it doesn't have a retaining wall. Okay, if I wanted to get rid of the if I don't want to build a retaining wall, if I want the connection between the front and the back, then what did I do? Okay. Then I have the same thing going on, but I would form two swells here. Okay, so that's my second option. I would have a high point in between there and there. Then my water, part of the water drain to the parking lot, part of the water drain through the middle, and it will converge to a point. So the middle might look like this.
That is not recommended, right?
I
Comparatively.
wouldn't say that it's not recommended. I would say it's a little more complicated than the first option. They both have pros and cons. For the first one, basically you can't get through from the front to the back, right? You can open up a hole, but then you need to integrate steps there. For this one, at least the views are connected. So you'd have to weigh the pros and cons to decide between the first and the second option. The third option I'm not recommending. The third option is actually I would have swales, just as what we went through before.
Right.
Okay, so I would have swales, and the good thing is that now I'm not draining to my parking lot, but now all my walkway would be elevated because it's crossing a swale. It's a small bridge, not a big one, but I think is a little too complicated for you to represent for this at this stage of your learning.
No, I understand. Yeah, I was just joking
Right.
when I said the thing about the bridge.
No. I think it's a totally valid option. And also another reason why this is not recommended in this exercise is that you actually have a pretty narrow front there.
Right.
So yeah, this would likely create side slopes that are not usable because you basically have a swale in front of your building and you have a little bridge.
Right. Yeah, I
and
understand.
all these areas with slopes.
Yeah.
You can't use them.
Right.
Yeah. So this is the third option, which is kind of similar to what you drew out. And I would suggest going with option 1 or 2.
Right. So I'm gonna
Okay.
probably try to go with option. I think I was trying to emulate option 1, but I just didn't understand it conceptually. So I think I do understand it a
Right.
little better now.
Cool. Yeah. So option 1, the major thing is to make your contour work with your walkway. So how do I tilt it based on my sidewalk spots? Is the major difficulty there. And then the second thing is likely you'll need to swell here, but not here. Okay, likely you'll be able to drain the water here with just sheet flow there, and yes, you will need a swell here because the number of contours that you need to adjust here, and also the original direction of this contour there. It's hard. You can't just turn them away like this. You don't have that length of the wall to work with. So those are the 3 difficulties for the first option. Okay.
All right.
Yeah. I see you have a few additional one. I'll very quickly.
Yeah. Sorry. Thank you so much for going in depth.
Oh, no worries. This will benefit everybody, and I believe we have about a couple minutes here. So how do we grade? No, you continue. The shape of this should not affect how you grade that. Don't pretend that there's no shape. No, I just keep going. Right?
And that circle just represents like we should put a drainage inlet there or something like that?
Yes, you should. So we keep the contour pattern going, and the lowest point here would be our DI. Right? You need to find wherever the furthest distance is. Wrong direction. Furthest distance is, and those 2 spots are the lowest point where the water will eventually collect.
Sure, makes sense.
Yeah, so those are the DIs.
Okay.
Okay, and don't forget that you need to grade the road on that side too. But basically, that's just 2 contours or 1 contour depending on your elevation.
Can you scroll over to that side? Because
Sure.
I just want to see. Because I swear I had put in some crowns on that side.
Oh yeah, you got it.
Yeah. So okay, yeah. So I still need to regrade that, or?
Well, if you made sure this is correct, then
right. I gotta go back and fix my math because I think I accidentally put
then all you need to
instead of 0.5.
For this area, you need to put in all the spots that's necessary at every tangent point where the curves meet another. Okay, wherever there is a tangent point between 2 curves, you need a spot there. Does that make sense?
Yes, that makes sense. Yeah.
Good. The other thing is you need to figure out where the contours connect.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
And then just finally, just one last thing I had a question about. I think it was maybe on the other side of the document. I think I put it. It had to do with. I can't see at the moment. I think it was. Oh no, actually, it was at the bottom. With the patio, do we need to put some? We need to put some not tick marks. I miss.
You don't.
Yes.
Unless you have steps.
All
Steps
right.
in the walls around the patio. Otherwise, this is the same. These two spots are the same.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry, that was just the last
Yeah.
thing. Thank you
No
so much,
worries.
Wong.
Yeah, cool.
And if there's any extra time at the end, I have probably a couple more
Sure.
questions.
Sure, that's fine. That's totally fine. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Also,
let me.
do I look like I'm on track to finish this by Sunday?
Depends on how much time you can put it in.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. Keep powering through. Let me take a 1-minute break and I'll be right back. Need to get a sip of water. Okay. All right, I'm back. Our next student is Roy. Are you here?
Yes, Professor, I'm here.
Hi, cool. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good.
Good. Let's take a look here. Contour patterns. So confused where the center line. Where's the center line of the buildings? Oh, center line of the buildings. HPS of parking lot a bit too low. That's an HP, the height. Yeah, it could be a little low, which means that you might need more steps than other folks that have raised the HP. So where should we start? I think we can go over the parking lot contours. Well, the parking lot contours is a crown. It's a V-shaped pattern to create the crown, right? So you may have viewed other people's critique and get a sense of. Let's see, let me reactivate my pencil here. So basically, your parking lot contours will look like this. Of course, that's not the the only way to grade it, is especially for this one. But let's just go with that as a starting point. I think your main question is probably related to what's the contour pattern here? Is that kind of where you're confused about?
Yeah, actually, after I finished watching the review before, I already got the answer because you guys just
Awesome.
give a lot of example of those
Cool.
contours, what it looks like. Yeah.
Yeah, so I do agree you can raise this up a little bit more to make it easier to create the ADA spots. Because with this high point, is pretty hard to get to 73 and 72 and 73 here. Now, can you kind of see that? If I'm high here, then I will be higher at the spot, then I can get higher here, right? So yes, I know you started with a 2% slope, but raising that could make it easier for you to raise the top FFE of this unit. I'm not suggesting that you have to do that, but one good check would be, sorry, I need to, okay, zoom in here. So I don't see a spot marked up here. I'm not sure what the spot here is. One good check would be if this is 71. Now let's suppose that that's 71. I could now estimate the top of the curve is likely 71, around 71 as well. Okay, then you need to measure the distance here. That's about 25 foot. I think it's 27 foot. If we use 25 and 5%, we know that you are able to get to 72.25 there without any steps. So if this is 63 at the back, 5, 4, 3, this should still work. I mean for the back. So a good check like this would help you determine, do I need to modify this at all? It looks like it's fine if you don't modify it. So I would actually go with it. Now go with the current numbers that you have. But again, double check how many steps you need. What's the slope here? Now, is there a better solution? But don't spend too much time staying on at this stage. Now move forward to draw out your parking lot contours, to start the contour patterns in other areas. It's more important to move forward to the next stage than to refine the TFFE and come up with the best solution. I would not give an advice like similar to that. If we have 4 weeks away, for instance, I would help you get a better set of FFE that will reduce the cut and fill. But I think at this stage, it's better to move forward with the other contours. That makes sense? Yeah.
Yeah, I will. Firstly, I just got to finish all the contour lines work and then
Yeah.
maybe set the HPS of the center line of the parking lot maybe higher, just to make sure that I have enough space to dealing with, the slope and the distance between the building and the parking lot site. Yeah.
Yeah. So what I was trying to get at is do one more verification. Do one more verification based on your current HP. Calculate the TC here, and
Okay.
calculate without any steps. Without any steps, what kind of TFFE you can get here, and make sure the bottom FFE would work with the contours at the back. If that works, don't change it. No, actually, I should say, don't change it. Don't change it. Move forward. Move forward to sketching out the contours on the parking lot, and then calculate these slopes. Okay, calculate those spots, calculate the slopes, and calculate how many steps you might need for other units. And then once you verified every one of the unit would work without moving the trees, without violating or without reducing your ADA or walkouts, if they work, move forward with the other contours. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, I see.
Yeah. So you asked about where the center line of the building is. No, the current design that you have, it's okay, but you can also broaden the walkway. Okay, so actually you can
Okay.
add a line, yeah, because for this one you will need a step. You will need steps. So for instance, you can widen it so that you come up to, you have enough space in front of the building. The same thing here. Same thing there. You can move this. That is up to you where that is located. Okay, you can move those. Those are basically only paintings on the parking lot. You can move it wherever you want, close next to your ADA accessible unit, which is here. Oh, actually, yeah, like this. Sound good?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. What else? Let me zoom back out and see your list here. Okay, I think that's all for your current questions. If you come up with more, if we have time at the end, we can definitely talk more about this. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything else that you want to touch? I know we have a couple more minutes here.
I think just let me finish the review today, and then let's see if I still got some question. Maybe we can
Sounds
talk.
good. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Sound good.
Thank you, Professor.
All right, and we have David next.
Yeah, how are you doing?
Hey, hi. Pretty good. How about yourself?
Can't complain too much.
Awesome. You had all the questions answered then.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think the only one remaining would be that ADA curve break. Just want to
Okay.
make sure that roughly
Awesome.
it's correct.
All right. This is. So if you have BR, oh, okay, I know why you had that. Okay. So the spots. Okay. So maximum 8% going up. Try to. 74. So that needs steps. Okay. Steps. ADA. Is it mainly you would like to check all these spots for
No,
the BR?
just like graphically, is that how you do a curve break?
Oh, graphically it works like the your current representation works. Your TR will be here.
Yep. Sweet.
Yeah. In terms of design, as I suggested to other people, I think is a better design if you have connections between every one of them.
Okay.
And no ADA. I know we kind of missed the ADA lecture this for this semester. Usually we would have a separate week that's dedicated to ADA design. I hope we'll be able to bring that back next semester for the stormwater class. But the one key thing is that ADA is not just for ADA. ADA is for everybody. If you have a baby, you need to push a stroller, right? If you have heavy things that you need to unload, you also need a ramp. So whenever you can make the ADA accessible to everybody, would be the better design. So for instance, you can add another ADA somewhere here, and adding a sidewalk like this would enable you to work in another ramp without adding more space necessary, allocating more space to it, right? Because you can simply use the second variation that we gave you. Now you can use that ramp design to work in another ramp. So this ramp works, but I think it would be better if you have more ramps, at least another one on the other side. You could also design that ramp for it to be here, so it could be shared by these two pairs. Instead of being in only one location, I think you could relocate it to other locations to make it more accessible. So that's basically some design critique instead of a grading critique. Okay.
Yeah, no, cool.
Awesome.
And then the only other question that I have is, could you guys, in like lectures and stuff, you supplied roughly how things would look graphically in AutoCAD, so with like spot elevations and such. Is that something you guys could supply for the curb breaks as well?
Oh, graphically.
That makes sense?
Yeah,
like in AutoCAD.
Yeah. There is one. Sure, I will look for a couple examples and I'll put up on Canvas.
Sweet, thank you.
But because you opted for but basically a one without any side slopes, so for yours is really basically any contours that would run on that ramp, the slope arrow, and the TR and the BR. So it's, yeah, for yours, you had it, once you add those TR there, you're good to go.
Sweet. Sounds
Okay.
good. Thank you.
Cool. Alrighty. That was quick. Okay. My next one, oh, Julia. Hi, Julia, are you here?
I am.
Hi. Yours is on a separate one here. Okay. So this is the right document, is that right?
Yes.
Okay. How do I design the contours around the HPS? I am for the right housing group, not sure how these contours work with the FFEs, driveway calculating spots around the road connection. Yeah, you don't need to include that one. Stuart included an example. So basically you're doing something like this. But you don't need to you don't need to provide any fine grading for that area for this year. Next semester we may bring that back, but not for now. So can you explain a little bit more what you meant about around the HPS?
So on
Do you
Tuesday,
mean
he was
this
talking
area?
about.
Do you mean this area?
Yeah.
Looks to me that's correct.
Okay, because on.
Yeah. Yeah, you're basically having a very small summit signature there, which is correct. Yeah. So next one is about contours. Okay.
Can I ask a question really quick about that center?
Yeah.
sorry, I didn't want to interrupt, but I have the same center number.
Mhm.
Stuart had told me that I could stretch them out to the side. Do I need to do that, or can I just leave mine as like a diamond in the center too?
Stretch it out to the side. I'm not sure what that means exactly.
He said to use like a 1% slope and do spot elevations and then go to the over 2 for the rest of it. I was kind of having a hard time with that, honestly, but I originally had it looking like hers.
I think this way looks fine.
Okay. I
Yeah.
can like double. I don't know if he had said like I need to do it or if he was just recommending it, but I was actually kind of struggling to figure out how that matches up then with the curves. So cool.
Well, no, this way is definitely not wrong. So I
Okay,
think,
thanks.
yeah, I think it's fine to to keep it that way.
Thank you.
Okay. So for the contours around the building, okay. So let's scroll back here for the far right. So you would have this contour conceptually hit the wall like this. Exactly how how the contour look like on the sidewalk, you'll need to calculate these spots to find out. Okay, so it might, yeah, the shape it will be twisted, so it's not a simple form like a straight line across. But in terms of connecting to the wall, it could hit the wall on the side, and then you would have your other contour hit the wall like that. And depending on what the next contour, where the next contour is, these ones, the ones here, you could choose to do it like that and keeping this portion because you can't kill the tree. There are two options here, okay? The other option would be I close this, and then wherever that 60, which number that is, I can't remember what's the number of this contour, 68? Wherever 68 comes off from this the turnaround, you would do one and a closed one. So there are two options for the 68 contour there. And for all the rest of the contour, no, if you have a 65 here, the next contour will be 65. So no, it would look something like this on the side, conceptually. Does that help?
What would I do with the 74 contour? Because my
The
FFE has
74
74.
contour,
or
you don't have a
74.
74 contour because the ground elevation, because you used steps. You use
Oh.
steps. So the ground elevation is much lower. It's much lower than 74. Does that make sense? So your ground elevation is actually it's close to where you are here. Because the steps, you use steps to raise everything up for that area. This area is up, but that area would be slightly higher than those before you get up to the stairs. And they don't have to have a relationship with your TFFE. Yeah, they're much lower than your TFFE. So, no, suppose that there's no stairs. Suppose that there's no stairs, and then you grade the ground. You grade the ground based on those elevations. So they would be higher. You would, for those, you would actually need to turn. If you have another contour like that, you would have to turn there. So those ones would hit the, yeah, depending on where actually it might go like this. So once you calculated these spots, you would work on, for instance, how that crosses your sidewalk. And the other spots, you could use this contour to estimate. For instance, if this is 71, that's 70, and that needs to be higher. So this being here, close to 70 here, sorry, 2, close to the 72 here, meaning that spot will be slightly lower than 72.
Okay.
And that one being close to 71, meaning you can estimate it for it to be 71.3, something like that. Okay, so all those spots not on the front porch, not on the stairs, they are in the lawn area. They can be estimated instead of calculated. And the key thing to make sure is for them to not conflict with your adjacent contours. Kind of
Okay.
makes sense? Yeah.
It
So for
does.
instance, this one, yeah, this one will be above 72. That one will be slightly below 72. And that one would be below 72. The 71 point, no, it would be higher than this general area. So 71.3 or 4, all would be pretty reasonable estimates for those areas. Okay. Yeah, great question for that area. Take a look at the other things. I think we hit those questions there. So for this side, I think what we can do is something like this. Once you calculated these spots and determine where this contour will fall, now depend on whether or not it falls on this wall or that wall. Then no, I'm basically I'm trying to say it could hit the front of the building, but that would be dependent on once you calculated the walkway spots there. Okay.
Okay.
Is even possible if that connection is correct, is even possible that you can turn that to make this area a little steeper. That's fine. If you want to create some more room for the side, you can see if I have that contour hit this wall instead, I would have a little more room to attach all the other contours. Okay, so that's some flexibility at that corner. Yeah, and this one, you could choose to do that directly. Yeah, because it's a very small original contour that was retained. So it doesn't really make a lot of difference there. Okay, but good progress in terms of trying to connect all the other contours. Don't forget there's another one here. You have your 71 here. So in order for this area to not be too flat, you need another 72. Okay. Take a look at the other areas quickly. Okay. Yeah, these contours still needs to be attached. Oh, let's make that. There's a little one there. Yeah, those still needs to remain to be attached there. Yeah, I know you're working your way through all the rest of the contours. Yeah, I'm missing a little one. So yeah, that one is okay. You don't have a small one in the middle. Yeah, I would say continue working on the rest of the ones there. It seems like this area is it's at this point challenging. How do you well let's use the rest of the time to go over how to do this area. So the first thing you need to do is to know the TC and the BC at the end of the lowest point here. What's the curb elevation around that? So that's 68. This seems to be BC would be less higher than 68, right? Let's say 68.2 maybe. And the TC here would be 68.7, which means your next contour out of the curve. So if we're drawing this, we're going down, right? We're going down, and my BC here is 68.2. And then I have a curve that is 0.5. So my TC here is 68.7 there. So my contour, I would have a contour that is 68. My next contour here would be 68, somewhere here. I'm actually, yeah, I'm only drawing, it's actually like this. I'm running out of space, but I have a 68 somewhere. I'm exaggerating the slope here. Sorry, is that kind of clear? I know that might be confusing. I'm exaggerating the slope in this area to show that my next contour is actually 68 somewhere here. Or maybe it's better that I redrew it. Okay, let's redo it. So I'm drawing a cross section in this area. Okay, I'm going down, right? My center line. My center line is going down in this turnaround area, going down. And then I have a curve, and I'm going down again in this area beyond the turnaround. My BC here is 68.2 as an estimate. So my TC here is 68.7. So the next contour in this area would be the 68. 68 would be, I know, because this is 68.2, I know the 68 is somewhere here. Depending on the slope that I specify here, but I know my next contour should be 68. Now the confusion is I have a 68.9 here. I have a tiny little bit of 68 there. Those are closed contours. These are closed contours. One tiny little bit and the other one. And I have a 68 again. Okay. Which one is 68? I want to make sure that I get it right. 68 is actually up. Okay, so it has to attach the wall. This one is 65. So I have a 69 here, 9 here. That connect back there. 9 connect to the building on this area. I have a 69 somewhere, 5, 6, 7, 8. 68 will come wrapping around and then hit the building sidewall. 7, 6. I need to make sure I have enough space here. Okay, you need to double check that I have enough space to not move the 65. Of course, I can move a little bit. I'm not in the tree area yet. Okay, so that's my 68. someone give me a good to indicate that all this actually made sense?
It makes sense.
Cool, good. Awesome. So that's how you figure out what's the next contour off the curb of the drop off. Alrighty. Anything else, Julia, here?
I don't think so.
Awesome. Okay, we'll move forward, and if we have more, we'll come back if we have time later. Okay.
Thank
So we have Lena. Is this your drawing, Lena?
Yeah, this one's mine.
Okay, cool. So FFE question, drainage on the pavement and the swale, the center line. Yeah, we went through the center line with Prahalad, I think. How do I make the sidewalk? What do I do with the area between the two complexes? I think we went through that with the 3 alternatives for grading the whole thing. Why are the house lines so thick? That's a CAD question. Not sure if you use the most updated base map, but be sure to adjust the CTB file. Actually, all those are fair game if you don't want to basically just follow the CTB that's created. If you think you have a better hierarchy, go for it. So where should we start? Let's take a look at what you have right now, okay? So you have a centerline slope of 3% and about 4%. You had you have some of the parking lot contours. You had top and bottom FFEs. Looks like some of them are pretty good numbers to work with. You know, you still need to work on the left units there. Let's check one of the pair, okay, to make sure that I think they work pretty well. For this unit, for instance, you have a 73, which means that TC is about, yeah, it's about 73 there. 73.60, you are at about 2 to 3% for the sidewalk there. Remove the curve. I think you're making this ADA. So if you're not making this ADA, you have one step there. That's okay. This should work. So the pair that we actually should check is this one. No, so let's move over to that side. You have a 71, 71.62, 72, 72. Yeah, there is a problem there. Okay. So looks like there is a 1 foot difference between the porch and the top FFE. This one, you are calculating. Okay, so how to mark those? Okay, so how to mark your front porch? I think it's the first thing that we need to clear here. You do need to mark the ground elevation, but these are the ground, these ones are the ground elevation that you need to mark. The porch is either if you have an ADA accessible unit, is either 0.1 below your top FFE or the same as your top FFE. Okay, so that one, you only need to write elevation equals to what if it's a flat porch. Okay, these are the ground elevations, which are important. If you don't have any steps, they can overlap. For instance, here, if you don't have any steps, then you need to create a 2% slope. If you have steps, then you don't need to create that 2% slope. I think this is a little confusing, but if you have steps, you know that the principle is to make the ground drain, right? Because the porch is elevated. The ground is to drain, meaning these needs to drain, needs to have a relationship to create positive drainage out. If you don't have steps, those are basically seamlessly connected to your ground. So that's why those spots, you don't need double anymore because the ground is the same as the porch. In this case, these spots need to vary to create the positive drainage. Okay, so different treatment for ADA accessible ones and those with stairs in front of them. Okay, so that's that we need to clear up a little bit. And then if this is your ADA accessible, make them the same FFEs because this is one pair. Now, varying them will create difficulty to connect them with a common sidewalk. Make them the same will be much easier to design the sidewalk, that's the walkway that's leading to both units. And there cannot be a difference between the top FFE, a big difference. I mean, there cannot be steps between the top FFE and the elevation of your porch. Okay, so my suggestion is actually, make this one ADA. This is the next one is easier to create ADA accessible units. Okay, so your first, you have graded your center line slope. So your next step is to verify these elevations. And look at both front and back contours, as we explained, and verify that you have ADA and walkouts, for instance, for the second pair, and then calculate the slopes for the other units, the walkways, and indicate how many steps, number of steps needed for each pair. So work through that first. And then your next step would be to work on these contours. So we can't explain how to find out the shape of the contours for the rest of the parking lot. And yeah, the other one here, you have another one here, and then work on where they come out of the parking lot there. Leave this part as the last. Work on this first because this area is the most difficult one. Go for the first option of just doing, let me clear this. Go for the first option of just doing contours like this. Okay, that will give you less headache. Then work on the side. And then work on the spots of the back. Work on the contours here, around it, and then go back to calculate the spots of the parking lot. So that's the workflow. Let me take a look at the rest of the questions, okay? Oopsie, my iPad. Give me a second. Load the screen. Okay. The rest of your questions is about this one. I think number 4 is about how to design the sidewalks. Now, as I recommended to others, I would recommend doing the sidewalk with a connection to the middle. Now you can enlarge this one a little bit so that you have more space, but having a continuous sidewalk in front of all the units. So that's the design of it. The grading of it would be determined by your TFFEs and BFFEs, at what slope they are at. Okay. Go back to list of the questions. Yeah, I just want to quickly offer some thoughts on generally what's the approach. Yeah, so Lena, I don't know if you stayed for the whole session. Some of the other ones I did explain with other students. Do you need me to clarify anything additional?
No, that was really helpful. Thank you.
Cool. Yeah. So start with these units first. Okay, these units first. Modify this one without one step, and then move forward with the contours.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Okay, cool. Okay. I have Stephanie as my next. Stephanie, are you here?
Yeah, hi.
Hi. Okay. What happened to the water at the center between? Okay. Should there be? So, did you catch the three options in the center between the townhouses?
Was that in the
Option
last,
number 2 and 3.
was that in the last class? I think I remember.
Yes. Yeah.
Mm.
So,
I'm not.
and then the next option would be having a swale here.
2 leading into the 1.
Yeah, that leads to one swale. So those are the two options for the middle of the townhomes. Do you need me to explain a little more on that?
What is the dark blue one? The blue.
The dark blue one.
Yeah.
So two options for the area in between. The first option is to have all the water in front of the townhomes to drain to your parking lot.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the blue option. And then you have a wall in between. And then you have everything draining in the opposite direction on the other side. So that's the first option. Okay. The next option is for part of the water to drain there and part of the water to drain here with a swale. Now it will be sort of like a bunny ears shape. Your high point will be there, and then it will kind of converge to one. So this way you don't have a wall that block everything from front to the back.
Is there one method that you recommend to?
Well, in terms of a grading complexity would be the first one. That's simpler, right? You put a wall. Pros and cons. Pro would be grading. In terms of grading, is a simple design, is an easier construction, and cons would be pretty expensive. It would be blocking the views and connection in terms of circulation. And pros would be you may be able to make everything pretty gentle. And I would say the second option with the bunny ears swales the pros would be you still keep connection between the front and back, and depend on the grade. If you are able to grade all these with pretty gentle slopes, I think is a good solution. If the swells get too deep, I wouldn't recommend it. If the side slope get too deep, get too steep, the area is not usable anyway, right? The area would not be usable. Then it would not be a good solution anyway. So the second one has merit. The second one has merit if you can make the design, the slopes gentle. Otherwise, I would opt for the first option.
Okay.
Yeah. I wouldn't. I think in terms of the actual grading of either solution, it's about the same for this exercise. So I think you can just pick one and go with it.
Okay. Sounds good.
Yeah. Right. So next, everything. Give me a second. It's not cooperating. Should I use the 5% option, but on the far right, be interfere with the tree? So there's really it's a case by case evaluation whether you use a 2% or a 5%. For the far right one, I'll definitely recommend 5% because you have the lowest front and the highest back for this unit. And you need as much slope as you can get to reduce the number of steps in front of this unit. Right? This is very low. The 62.78 is very low. So next one is 62 contour, that's 65.5. You need to keep this contour intact. And that is 63. So yeah, your far right unit does not work. You need to raise that. Your top FFE, you need to raise that at least above 73.5 or something, 74. So the second one, the 5% will give you to 68.75. It's actually pretty good because the 63 is over here.
Wait,
So
sorry.
I would say, yeah, your 63 original contour is over here.
Yeah.
So if you can get this to 63 point something, you don't have to move 63 for that pair. So I would say, yes, I would say it's somewhere 5%. It's somewhere close to 5%. Not, you don't have to use exactly 5. Yeah, but 5% will work better than 2%.
On this
On
one.
this, yeah, on this one. Yeah.
I'm not sure, like I did the method where you just calculate that one and then but have that difference and then do it for the rest of them. Like the where the line is right next to the check mark. I calculated that and then the difference from the top to the back of the townhouse and then took that difference and made it for I don't know if I can annotate.
So for this unit, for this unit, using a 5% it's totally fine. So we can just go with the 5% for that one. I can, So the, in order to calculate specifically what the sidewalk slope is, you would calculate the TC here, right? You already did that.
Yeah.
You used 5% for this distance.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you got 72.75. And then 63.75, right? Yeah. Well, it will work. So you can basically have that 63.75 and then have a patio. But for this one, you might need to move 63 back a little.
Okay.
Once you put on your back patio, no, you would want to make sure this slope is not too steep. So that's why you might need to move your 63
Okay.
to this in this direction.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
That's
it will work. Yeah, I only suggested that you lower that one to keep to reduce the movement of the 63. But you don't necessarily have to. There isn't. It's a better way because then you can have a gentle walkway, and you don't have to dig that soil out as much. Yeah. Cool.
But what about the far right townhome? I did the calculations. Is basically the difference just like on the other side. And how do I raise the FFE? Do I just
Using steps.
Okay.
Yeah, so you would maximize the slope here, and then you will need to put in steps there.
Okay.
Okay. Is that all that? Yeah. So in order, I would suggest, regardless whether you stayed through today's session, you scroll. Now, once the recording is available, you scroll to the part where I talk about contours for the other areas.
Yeah.
You don't necessarily have to listen to it, but quickly scroll through, find where is the valuable part that you should listen to again in case you need help for the other contours. Okay?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. So what's the next one? Oh, that's Kristen's. So Shen, I don't know if you uploaded a second version. Are you here, Shen? Okay, Shen is not here, so I'm gonna go ahead reviewing Kristen's. Okay, Kristen?
Yep.
Yeah. Awesome. Should the walkway length include the stairs? That's a good question. Depend on you can grade your stairs with a 2% slope. Right? You can grade your tread with a 2% slope. So definitely over the length, over the tread, you would not have, if you design your entire walkway at a 5%, that distance would not have a 5% slope.
Okay, so I should stop the length of the walkway at the stairs.
Yes.
Got
Yeah,
it.
but do remember that you could have a 2% slope along this because you can have a sloped tread. You should have a sloped tread. Yes.
Okay. And then another question sorry, I've been kind of working, so some of my questions aren't super relevant.
Oh, no worries. No worries. Yeah.
But just another one coming off of that. Once we add this walkway, does that also subtract from the walkway length? I mean, the sidewalk, like right outside the parking lot.
Not really. The difference, yes, I agree that this would have a gentler slope than if this is a 5% slope, you might not desire a 5% slope in this direction for the whole thing.
Yeah, because all of mine are 5.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, it needs to be reduced for that part.
Okay. So what does it just need to be reduced to 2% or?
Yeah, 2 would be good.
Okay. I can't go any higher than that.
I would not recommend going higher than 2 for the side slope. Yeah.
2% for, And then also if you're adding the connection walkway in the center,
Mhm.
I'm just curious if that would change my 72 contour there.
So not necessarily.
Okay.
Not necessarily. The overall, the middle area right now you have, it's pretty gentle.
Uh-huh.
So I wouldn't think that it would change too much
Okay,
of your
cool.
72 contour. Yeah, yeah.
So another question. I wanted to make the ADA accessible one, the one over to the left that's on the screen right now, that hooks up right, yeah, hooks up right to the space. I wasn't sure how to grade that meeting it because I just had it 5% all the way because it goes right to the space.
Mhm.
But do we really need to have the connection in the middle, or is that just like recommended?
Connect. You mean this area?
Yeah, the continuing walkway.
It's recommended. You don't necessarily have to have it. I don't think it will change your design of this walkway much though. I think you can have your. Yeah, I know what you're trying. I actually would suggest that we put the ADA, not directly. Uh, no, I actually suggest the ramp be like that, so you can actually have access to both unit.
Okay.
From the center ramp. If you design a
Mhm.
ramp like this, your side here is actually a barrier for people to get through to that area.
Okay.
So this actually works better without taking more space.
Okay.
And yeah, and also a design like this, the space here, no, it's not usable there.
Right.
Yeah. So I know you're trying to get to a longer.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. In this case, because you're not lengthening the sidewalk a whole lot more, I would actually suggest that we not do that.
Okay.
Yeah, I would actually suggest that we just directly go with this design. Maybe enlarge it a little bit more here. I know this will lower this down, but comparing a steeper slope in this area with a because you need to walk this way and then get into this, right? I think in comparison, I would opt for making the back a little steeper. Move some of the contours in the back to make this work. Because yes, this will be lowered down a little bit, but because the trees are pretty far away, yeah, I think that's a better design.
Okay. I'm just a little unsure what would happen to my 73 contour then if that one lowers below 73. Because I have that peak in the
Okay.
middle and then the wall designed based off of that.
Okay.
So I was kind of hesitant to lower that under 73, but yeah.
So your 73 would be here then.
Oh, okay.
You have a 4.3% slope there anyway, right? I can make this a lot gentler. I can make it 2% or something.
Oh, that was for the walkway, but yeah, I need to figure
Yes.
out the slopes in the center still.
Right. Yeah. You can definitely move your 73 over to this area. Just a little bit of 73.
So the 73 on the right end though would actually touch that building, the other building, just not the one on the left.
You could, yes, you could.
Because that one's over
Well,
70.
it would touch it. It doesn't necessarily touch it because if only that area with the step is elevated, your ground can still be lower than 73. Kind of makes sense.
Okay, so I
we're
don't
using
need to have it
steps,
going
right?
directly into the building. I can just show it like you did in the center of the wall.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because the ground here can be much lower than your porch, right? The porch with the stairs. You have stairs here. You have a front porch. This whole thing that's hatched is elevated. but the ground would be lower. So basically you
Okay.
have small cheek walls,
Got it.
cheek walls
Got it.
there, cheek walls there.
Cool. So, yeah, going off of that, I think another thing I was unsure about was if the patios in the back should be the spot elevation of the house or of, I mean, sorry, the FFE of the house or the spot elevations of the ground.
You would have 2% slope for the porch.
Okay.
So that will be the same as the BFFE, but that would be lower.
That would be the
Create.
same as the BFFE. Okay, so they do go off of the BFFE, not the spot elevations of the ground.
Yes, they go
Okay.
because you need to be able to come out, right?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Porch. I'm just gonna write that down quick. And then 2% lower. I don't remember what it could. Maybe we'll go back to the
Yeah,
question.
sure. Yeah.
Oh, I actually remembered one. For the
Mm-hmm.
walls,
Mhm.
is the bottom of the wall the same as the spot elevation or the BFFE then?
Bottom of the wall for this one,
Mm-hmm.
if you have a wall here, this one would be the BFFE. That one would be lower than that, at the edge of the patio, right?
Okay.
No, you would estimate. Now you're in the lawn area. You would estimate based on the closest contour, and that one is actually based on whatever the contour here is.
Okay.
Yeah.
So for like the wall in the center.
On the center. Okay. Let's go to the center here.
Is the
So that would be determined by the ground.
right. So that's the ground, not the finished floor elevation.
No, those do not have direct relationship with your top FFE. It's determined by
Okay.
the ground. Yeah.
Ground. Got it. And then same thing for there's a wall all the way over on the left.
Yes. Same thing.
Yeah, that corner.
Same thing. Yes.
Thing.
Same thing. Yeah. Yeah.
Cool. So I got that one. And then just for the walkways, it was that they're 2% and then coming off. Okay, I think that answers that. Yeah. And then the other ones.
I see something questionable here.
Mm-hmm.
Let's take a look. So you flipped it, which is actually helping. Not you don't have to stack as many contours in this area with the flipping. So you have 9 here. You have another 9 here.
Mm-hmm.
So we need to know what this is. Oh, okay. So you're connecting 9. You have 2 9s. This one, we're going up to there. So where did you connect it to? Oh, I need to zoom back out a little. So see the other contours. I don't think this is. Let me check the contour number. What's the contour number?
That is 69.
This is 69?
Oh, I don't know. Sorry.
That's 5, I think.
69 is all the way down right below the first one in the circle.
I think.
Sorry, they disappeared when I.
Oh, so this is the one. Yeah, this is 5, 6, 7, and 8.
Mhm.
That's 9. This is 9.
Mhm.
Yeah. So your 6, 7, 8, 9, it's here. All right. Yeah, I think so. That's the 9. So that one connect back here.
Okay.
And then that hits the wall.
Oh, so I need to start connecting those.
Yes.
That's
Yeah,
all.
yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. It's actually going in this direction.
Got it.
I am trying to figure out where your 68, the other one. 69, the other one goes. It's actually going like this. Okay. It needs to close on itself because this, the other side, it closes like doing this.
Mhm.
Okay. And the way that you calculate this would be, I need to find out what this is. So
Okay.
it's going down and then you have a curb. The curb is likely, let's see. So what is, yeah, I have a hard time estimating it. Okay. 68, that's 9, right?
Yes.
68 point. If you still have, that seems to be 5, or if you have a 5 here, that that doesn't seem. I'm getting a little slow.
No, that's okay.
But the contour pattern would look like this with 69 close on itself.
Just outside
Because
of the
yeah,
circle.
because you can sort of draw where I'm going down, then I'm going up again, then I have a little curve, so I'm creating a little bit of this here.
Okay.
No, for the turnaround area,
That
right?
makes
So yeah, so you have a contour of a little bit of 69 that will wrap around this area
right.
and form a little of its own. So then you have another, you have your 68 keep going to hit the wall on the building.
Oh,
and
geez.
7
Okay.
and 6 and 5.
Do you think that'll fit?
I think it will fit.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then also with grading up top, I wasn't sure how to do really the 70, the 71, or the 72.
Let's clear this and come back to bigger here. You meant this area?
Yeah, so do those just meet each other back up then?
Those will no, because remember we're a summit pattern before.
Mm-hmm.
Right now it's the same pattern. It just has a very complicated shape now. No, so my 71 would connect to this 71 like this. So you can see your 71 does
Oh, so it does.
something like this, right?
Okay.
Yeah. And then your 70 would be doing this.
Okay, so do they need to follow those points out for drainage on that end or no?
Not really, because water
Okay.
would drain that way
Anyway,
anyway. Yes.
got it. And then same with the 69 we just did. Could we maybe do the 69 on the left side?
Yeah. Yeah. The 69 on the left side. You'll need to find where it is. Yes. Yeah. The same thing. You would try to connect. Oh, I'm trying to move these away. Close my annotation. Move other things away. So here is your 69, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's your 69. You would have something just like that.
Oh, okay.
And
Got it.
one more here.
Right, because that's the which is that one?
That's 72.
The one in the middle?
Yeah.
I actually changed that into doing that center diamond like we saw
Oh, even if you do that, you would have 72.
on the outside of the.
Yeah, because you have 71.5 here. So that's corresponding to 72 on the curve,
Okay.
right? So those are not lines that you not contour lines, but help you connect to the center line 71.5 to the 72.
Got it.
So
Got it.
you have those there.
Cool.
Okay.
I think if there's any more questions on the page, I might have missed some. I don't know
Yeah.
how much time we have.
we have another 20 minutes.
Oh yeah, I just meant for mine, but
Oh yeah, no. Feel free to. I think anybody can ask. You can go back to your list, and if you have additional ones, feel free to bring them up.
Okay, are there more right on the page right there that I might have missed? I don't know if you can just zoom out quick.
So happens 72 to the center wall. Only one stairs. No, you can have only one stairs. That's no
Okay.
problem. Yeah, that's actually better. Should the walkway lengthen to the slope behind the wall and behind the, yeah, we kind of went through that. Oh, could I end the swells early? Yeah, the key thing on the back here is that you need to turn that away. I can't remember if every one of the unit has to have basement under basement.
No, this is actually how Stuart told me to fix this one.
Okay. How Stuart? Not sure. But you actually need to turn the contours away, right? The 66 needs to do that. Otherwise, it's all draining to your wall. Does that make sense? So the general pattern is correct, having these contours hit this. But once it hit the wall, it needs to turn, like what Stuart demoed the other day.
Mm-hmm.
You need to make sure this corner, the corner here is the highest. The drains away. So that means, yes, the general direction of these contours are correct to form the swale.
Okay.
But they need to continue actually to hit the other wall. So it would direct water out of this corner.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
you actually cannot. Yeah, you actually cannot have water drain like this.
Okay.
To the wall here.
So would like the 65?
Oh, I'm sorry. Let me go back and no, you just need to make sure not that big of an area needs to be higher. So just make sure you do that.
Oh, okay.
Let's see. 64, 65, 64. I don't think we need that one. If we don't have walkouts, if we have no walkouts here, then this one can stay where it is.
Okay.
Right? And that one turn this one would be fine.
Okay, so just turn the 65.
Yes. Only turn the 64. Is that 64? 5. Okay. Only turn the 65 away from the wall because that is okay. It's draining away from the wall. But this one is getting to the wall. So we need to turn that away.
And do I need to add that extra wall out the back?
Depend on what you want to do for this one. If you don't have any patio, you do, yeah, so let's do something like this. Closer and like that. Then your 64 can stay where it is if you don't have any walkouts.
Yeah, I had those on the other side, so I think I'm good.
Yeah. Just make sure the attachment here is not directing water to that wall.
Okay, this was really
Yeah.
helpful. I think I'm good.
Cool.
Is there a certain percentage out the back? I just forget really quick.
Here, the better option is I close this.
Uh-huh.
And then wherever my 68 is, because you're missing a 68 connection, right? The 68, the 69 wrap around like what we did, and then you have another 68 coming out from here. You either need to do this, or you need to, let me change another color. You need to do that. Go back, do this, and then connect back as you did.
So there definitely needs to be a 68 up top.
Yes, there's a 68 because the first contour out of the drop off on the other side of the drop off, it's 69.
You mean coming out of the side of the turnaround?
Yes. Oh, yes. Not drop off. Turn around. Yes.
No, that's totally fine. So
yeah.
Okay, it'll come out the back and then just join around the tree into that one.
5, 6, 7, 8. This one. I think it's this one. I don't remember which one.
That one's 69, but that one you have connecting on itself, and then. Oh, I see.
This is the one option.
Okay.
The other option is for this to connect back here, and then for this to go up like that. Does that make sense?
Okay, so just having it connect twice.
Right. So clear here. If you want to keep that portion, I can do this, or I can close this off and then do that. Those are two ways of working with the tree drip line there. Okay,
cool. I think that's all my questions.
Cool.
Thank you so much. This was very helpful.
You're welcome. I would not stop share. I would open up to any other questions at this point. We still have 15 minutes.
Yes, I have a question, Ruhong.
Yeah, go ahead.
I have a PDF. Is it okay?
Yeah, you can share. Yeah, I will step share now.
Okay. So I just wanted to check my TFFEs and BFFEs. I'm pretty sure that they're going to work, and I'm not too worried about contours. But I just wanted to get that checked and make sure that it was going to be good, because I don't really think well, I think that I'm in a good spot as far as the contours. I'm going to have to move out of the back. And
this is a little too low. This should work. That.
Oh, I see why it's too low, because 63.
Yeah, 63. You can't move that. This is 71, 75. Which one is ADA again? This one?
Yeah, I'm gonna make both of those ADA. I thought.
Okay.
I only need to have one unit that's ADA.
Right. One pair.
Okay.
So if this is ADA, I suspect that this is a little low. Yeah, because you don't have a TCPC marked here, so I cannot be absolutely sure, but it could be a little low here. If you have steps here, this definitely will work.
Yeah, I'm gonna put steps on either side.
Okay. Yeah.
So I actually it didn't come out on my plot because I plotted a little too early before I was working.
That's fine. Well, but definitely make sure this one can be ADA. I think once you have this BC and TC marked out here, then we would have a better idea there.
Hmm.
It's close. It's close. I just want to make sure definitely it doesn't exceed 5% slope for the walkway there.
Okay, so it can't exceed 5% slope. And then something that I'm kind of like nervous about
Mm-hmm.
is well, when I start calculating a TC and a BC, my curb connects on something that's like a 2% slope. So then in my head, I'm thinking like my left side of sidewalk and my right side of sidewalk have to be different elevations, but yet that's not true. It can't be like that.
They would be because the distance. Yeah. Do you mean this one would be different from that one?
No, what I meant was
Oh, you meant this
like
and that.
yes.
Pick the middle. Pick the middle to do the calculation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, and then something that I also started to think about was the contours that I'm going to have to thread through the sides of the building. I'm not
Mhm.
necessarily too worried about the contours that are going to open and close inside the parking lot because I can figure
Okay.
that out.
Yeah.
But I started looking at these corner spot elevations being like this area and this area. The contours that get threaded through here are determined by this spot and this spot, right?
The other way around. You should work on the contours first and then decide on the spots.
Okay.
So work on the concept, work on the contours in the parking lot first.
Mhm.
Then you would know where those contours come up from out of the curb, right? So unless I know where 70 hit this, unless I know where 71 hit that, I wouldn't know where 71 comes off the curb and how it does, what it does in front of the building. I need to know those first. I need to know
Okay.
this first. I need to know the next spot where the 70 contour, know where it comes off the curb. Then I can, oh, my iPad turned off again. Let me fix that. Okay, back. So once I have a sense of where they were, then I know, okay, annotation, please. Then I know this goes somewhere like that. Maybe even earlier, attached to the wall, so I make more room for other contours, right? So now, if I have my, this is 70. If I have 70 here, I know this is slightly above 70. And I can estimate that. It's not paved surface. Don't need to calculate. So those corners will wait until you have your contour pattern figured out. So that's 69 all the way. And once you fix this, raise that BFFE, then we know how long the wall needs to extend, right? And then based on exactly which contour actually is here, let me use a different color here. So for instance, if this is 68 there, I know my corner is above 68, between 68 and 69. So I know that corner, that B wall elevation of that building corner would be between 8 and 9. So
Okay.
that's how you estimate those corners, but you don't do that until you have the contours.
Okay. Now, on the flip side of that, the back side of my wall, wherever I decided that I needed to have my BFFE finish at, would determine the rest of the contours that have to go through, correct?
I'll
If I
have
just-
to, yeah, I'll need a repeat of that.
So if I have this corner right here, between like this corner and they'll say the bottom of the wall right here would be
Okay.
determined by BFFE right here. If this if this stayed at 63, it would have to come all the way down to 63.
So let's suppose that we have a higher elevation here at 65. If we have 65 here, we'll need to keep 63 where it is, right? You can opt for what Kristen had just now, to not design a patio for this unit. Then you can, you don't have to have that wall. But if you want to design a patio here and create a flat area in the back, then you need a wall. So how do we make that happen is we keep 63, but then we keep about 50 feet until we have our 64. So this is my 54, 64, sorry, backwards. I apologize. We should go the other way around. If I have 65, then I go 50 feet to get where my 64 is. Because this slope can be steeper, but I want to try to keep that, to try to spread the contours so I maintain sufficient above 2% slope for my patio area. Okay, so that's my 64. And then my wall would need to be somewhere here. So my 64 can attach from below to this. My 65 can keep being connected to the wall. And then this wall, B wall elevation, would be what? Would be defined by, would be very close to 64, right? Because that is where we attach our 64 contour there. Lower, right? Lower than 64, but close to 64. You can interpolate between this and that. And that elevation there is determined by your BFFE of 65 there. That makes sense?
Yes, it does.
Yeah. Yeah, and the patio, remember, your spot needs to be put on the pavement itself.
Okay.
And yes, you're aiming for 2% slope. So you just need to calculate, it's below 65, it's 64 point something there. And that one is the same as your BFFE. And that one likely will be close to there because you want to try to grade this area kind of similarly, right? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then my last question is about tread. I heard you mention tread. Do we
Yeah.
actually have to calculate a 2% tread per stair?
Well, I would not ask you to, as long as you have these spots correct, the bottom of the stairs. I need to change the color. So I only included that detail to explain that if you need that extra elevation difference, you can count on the tread to have a slope on the top. But you in reality, when we give our construction drawing to the contractors, we don't need to do that because they are very accustomed, they're very familiar and good at creating the slope for the treads. So what you give them is mainly, trying to zoom in. What we give them is basically you have to make sure the BR, the BS, the bottom of the stairs are correct, and give the entire elevation change for give that dimensions to them, and they will build the stairs with the correct tread slope. So what you provide is basically the BS and TS here. Okay, don't worry about calculating the tread slope for every step. I think it's distractive at this point. I don't think you should use that time to do that at this stage.
Yeah, so we don't need to calculate the treads and rise.
Yeah, give the dimensions of the steps.
Okay.
Like we did in the exercise 8, I believe.
Right.
That's enough. Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so the only FFE that needs to change is the far right unit then?
that needs to change. This needs to be verified, whether or not you can get this high.
Okay. Thank you, Wong.
Okay, cool. Good. Yeah, we are at the end of our class. We have a couple more minutes. If you have burning questions, we still can talk about those. Let me check my schedule here. Make sure I don't have anything really after the class. Just so you know that I will upload the cloud recording to Canvas, and still it will be the newest last item in the module.
It'll be on the YouTube channel.
Yes, the same thing as the Tuesday recording. Where did it go? Huh, somebody deleted my. Kristen, are you still in the
Yep, I'm here.
Oh, okay. I saw that. I believe another wonderful instructor moved the recording of Tuesday to resources.
Oh, that's fine.
Okay. Yeah, but those are that's where you would find. If you subscribed to the YouTube video, it will be there.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Awesome. Yeah, it disappeared. I panicked a little bit there. Okay, good luck, students. I know this is gonna be a stressful week. I will be at least answering your questions before the end of Friday. So I know that I don't have any more office hour openings this week because they are booked full. But I will be answering emails. If you include specific questions in your emails, I will be able to answer them by the end of Friday business day. Okay. So if you need to reach out early, then I'll make sure I get to them as much as I can. Yeah, good luck. Well, but I'm confident. No, with all the recordings, you should be able to find the answers. Cool. Alrighty, I'm gonna return to the main room to see if Stuart needs me for anything. Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, Wu Hong.
No worries. Good
Yeah,
luck.
thank you very much.